This is the future.
I have put up several guides in this channel that lets you know what are the best missions in Warframe that you can do while waiting for new content. These are those most rewarding missions in the game that doesn't just give you rare loot that you can actually use for progression, but also lots of platinum so you can just directly buy most of the stuff you need in the market. As you all know, almost all stuff in the game can be bought with platinum excluding the Tenogen for PC, and Prime accessories. There are also those things that are quite hard to obtain because of fucking RNG, so players just buy them with platinum from other players. Long story short, it's all about farming simulator to get all the stuff you need when there's no new content in the game. The best mission I can recommend is Railjack. Okay, settle down, I'm just messing with you. Although Railjack missions have lots of good rewards and it's an actual loot cave for Endo since all you need to do is trade Railjack mods and parts for Endo. Plus you can also gain lots of credits and crack some relics, plus additional currency to get tenet weapons while delving in Void Storm missions. Still, it's dubbed by many Warframe players as the worst because there are still features missing from the mission. Just like a solo mode wherein those AI actually help you by manning the artillery cannon. Small things that can be added to the game mode to make it worthwhile in either solo or team plays, because honestly, you rarely see a team farming Railjack missions right now for more than 15 minutes. The best mission right now would be Steel Path Fisher missions, as not only it allows you to crack relics, but it has a scaling steel essence game mechanic wherein if you delve longer into a Steel Path mission, say, in a Steel Path Survival Fisher mission, the amount of steel essence you gain will increase. From just 4 per acolyte kill plus the 1 with every relic crack, to 10 steel essence plus 1, or even more. What's the importance of steel essence? Well, it allows you to buy weapon arcanes to make your guns stronger, umbral former to mean max your Warframe builds, Kuva to reroll your Riven to godly rolls, it even rewards Endo sometimes, Riven Cypher so you won't do any Riven mission and just unveil the Riven in one click, some sick cosmetics, transformer and best of all, the relic pack switch to replenish the relics you've used up in Steel Path Fisher, and also get some Arya in the process to buy some new relics in the Prime Resurgence. Another great thing about Steel Path missions is that it got a boost in resource and mod drop chance, meaning it is highly possible that the enemies will drop additional resources, and Endo. Not to mention that duplicate mods will be abundant, that you can consider this as the second loot cave for Endo, as you can just dissolve them for Endo, or sell them if you are running out of credits. Steel Path, or should I say Steel Path Fisher missions are really a great way to earn some platinum plus extra things in the game to either progress or gain more powerful builds in the game. Because this game is all about power, and players have a lust for power fantasy. The more damage, the better. However, there's one problem with Steel Path Fisher mission right now, and that is refilling all the used up relics. In the past, we have been farming Steel Path Fisher missions non-stop, due to the fact that we can refill them easily with the relic packs available in the Steel Honors market. Okay, you may ask players, why do you stay longer in Steel Path Fisher survival longer than 30 minutes or an hour? Well, it's because of the steel essence scaling, and most farmers know that when you have a Smeeta Kavat, there comes a point in a mission that you'll gain hundreds of steel essence from one acolyte kill if the resource buff from the charm mod procs. With this amount of steel essence, we can refill the relics easily. It becomes an endless loop of farming prime parts in Steel Path Fishers, gaining steel essence, buying relic packs, and doing the prime parts farming again. Sadly, Digital Extremes did not want that, and they have nerfed the acquisition of relic packs in Steel Honors. From Unlimited, you can only purchase 25 relic packs with your steel essence right now. I think it's also a good decision though, because for weeks, the prime parts market crashed, to the point that platinum prices of prime parts were lower than 20, and hell, there are even set that sold for 5 platinum only. It was too easy to farm prime parts, which makes it harder to gain platinum as some parts are not that rare anymore. In Warframe, the rarest things are those vaulted relics, those mods that are not yet available from Void Trader for months, or those items that will take some time to farm. We all know that RNG sucks sometimes in Warframe, and some players prefer to buy items with platinum even if they are not that useful, and only intended for trying in one go and giving you mastery rank. Most players with platinum do this, and most farmers take advantage of this. Steel Path Fisher is the best in my opinion, but we need more methods to gain platinum, and find other rewarding missions that we can farm. Not just for platinum, but also to get rid of the boredom having to dive in the same mission over and over again for the rest of your day. So what other mission types are rewarding in Warframe? Well, Railjack is one, if it's not shitty. But in my opinion, the second best mission that you can do after Steel Path Fisher farming is the Isolation Vaults in Deimos. I dubbed Isolation Vault as a gold mine for Warframe players for so many reasons, and one of them is because farming Isolation Vaults pairs well with farming prime parts and steel essence in Steel Path Fisher. So basically, farming Steel Path will yield you plenty of resources for crafting weapons and warframes, which is good as most of the Fisher missions, especially survival nodes in Steel Path does yield the resources that we want to craft as rewards for Isolation Vault missions. It's like when you are not farming Isolation Vaults, then you are farming prime parts relics in Steel Path, and then passively gaining resources needed for crafting. Another benefit is that when you are doing Isolation Vaults, you don't just get Cornbot parts and other Deimos resources, but you also get mother tokens which you can exchange for Intrati standings, and then buying more relic packs in Necrolisk which helps replenish your relics to use in Steel Path Fisher missions. The best part is, instead of one, you now have two methods to farm to platinum that actually sells. What I'm saying is that, there are quite a few things in the market right now that sells for tons of platinum, just like Riven mods, but the problem is, they are those home run or big hitters that just happens once in a blue moon. Riven mods trading is quite great if there's a new prime weapon, as players would want to try out the mean max version of the new prime weapons, or, Rivens are good for statistics, but it would take some time as it's time gated with Kuva. Isolation Vaults in Deimos can be farmed daily, and if you put some effort farming it, then it will yield great benefits for you. So what to sell in the Isolation Vault mission? Well, almost everything from Alloyed. First of all, farming Orogin Matrix lets you buy some of the best stuff in the game. Well, I'm not quite sure with the heavy weapons though, but they sure sells for a hefty amount of platinum in the market, especially if you have a full set. But in most cases, the best seller from the bunch are the Void Rig parts. We all know how strong this Cornbot, right? And if you don't have one, better get one now, as it can literally melt even Steel Path Eidolons in seconds. Aside from the Orogin matrices that you can exchange for items in Lloyd, you can also make use on the damage Necromesh parts and sell them for platinum. The highest priced are the stock and the receiver, but you can also save a couple so you can use them to form sets for Cortege and Morga heavy guns. The other damage parts are used to craft your Cornbots, and if you want to sell the full set, then I advise going with Void Rig. Why not Bone Widow? She's a cool Cornbot too. I know she is cool, but in terms of power and usefulness, there's a massive difference between Bone Widow and Void Rig. The latter deals massive damage, and it can melt enemies in seconds, just like Steel Path big bosses like the Eidolons and the Thumpers. Not to mention that you can even utilize it to fight with fellow Cornbots in the Isolation Vaults. But wait, don't ever think that it's that easy farming the parts and then selling them right away in the market. They don't sell that high because they are farmed that easy, you know. If you want to make platinum in Warframe, then you got to earn it, and you got to navigate to the endless time gating loophole farming that Digital Extremes implemented in their game. The thing about isolation items is that it requires one of the most hated mechanics in the game right now, and that is mining. Okay, don't worry, as there is probably a solution to that, and gladly. The Isolation Vaults does provide some good mining spots that you can use to gain the minerals needed to craft these Isolation Vault items before you can sell them. In my case, I usually start mining the vault after I have finished killing all the infested in stage 2. After killing all the infested to lower the toxicity level, just pop up your mining laser and start mining, as there will be lots of minerals in this infested room. The Isolation Vault in fact is full of minerals, but I just don't recommend mining all the way to the Necromesh room, as there will be full of pesky infested that will try to stop you. I did try a couple of tricks, like using a stealth Warframe, or even the Shade and Lahara's Q-Brow for their invisibility mod, but nothing seems to work, as infested units seems to always have a way to munch my life with their toxicity. I always get disrupted while mining, so I devised a plan wherein I only mine at the infested room, as after clearing all the infested, you will be at peace farming all those minerals you need. Why I always see you used Necros here, squad leader? Well, for the extra resources. A resource booster doubles the amount of Orokin matrices acquired from killing a cornbot, as well as loot abilities such as Necro's Desecrate, hence allowing me to gain more. And when there are times that I'm lazy to farm isolation vaults, I just go to Lloyd and trade for standings and buy cornbots mods to trade. But wait, it's not over yet. Another problem with this though is you will need minerals from the plains of Eidolon, both for steel needed to craft the heavy guns, and Marquis Verados to craft the Void Rig capsule can be farmed in plains of Eidolon, so probably, you will need to go with a stealth Warframe and dive into the caves of plains of Eidolon to mine those ores. Also, there's one in Fortuna called Verdano alloy of some sort, which can also be found in Orvalis caves. Not to mention that the other resources like plastids or morphics and more can be found in star chart missions. Now, to know what planet to farm, simply hover to one planet and click the extractor icon to show you what are the available resources in that planet. What I usually do is use my thermal Sunder Necros solo farming the steel path survival nodes of these planets if I'm really low with a specific resource needed for crafting, but I think you would be fine if you are farming steel path survival fissure and isolation vaults at the same time. There's quite a lot of farming and time gating in this farming process. Still, it's one of the best in the game in terms of making platinum though if you really want to have decent income per week, and not rely on big hitters. However, this is not the only method though, as there's a more newbie-friendly method that we will talk later. This is more for players who already got steel path and farming steel path fissure, looking for other way to farm platinum without sacrificing anything from farming prime parts. One last thing before I forget is after finishing the corn bots in the isolation vault, you have the option to pursue opening the secret vault. It would take some time to finish but it will reward you with additional resources that you need for crafting the items you want to sell from the isolation vault, not to mention that it also drops minerals. For the builds, I usually use creeping terrifying necros to slow and get rid of the cornbot armor, then go kill them with my void rig. If you don't have a void rig, then a struffer would do, just mod it with radiation or blast if you have a way to strip the armor of the necromesh since it got a fossilized health which is weak against this elemental damage. I don't know if Corufel also works, because it's the new version of struffer and I will definitely try it later, but for those who have tried it, feel free to comment down below if it's good in killing corn bots. So that's all about the experience I have with this platinum farming method. Take note that this is part of the Quest to 1 Million Platinum series, and I will post videos like this more often not only to tell you about my progress, but to help you in what to do in Warframe aside from waiting for new content. Thank you so much for watching. Squad Leader signing off.